This is how I would scan the back and front of this plate. You see I just put a single marker on it. It's not really for scanning, it's just simply for me to use later when I need to align it. I saved the file as one as this is my first scan. So this is why I add the marker to it, because what I'm going to do is simply rotate it. That way the marker's on the other side. This way I capture the top of it. Okay, this was scan 2 that I exported. Gonna rotate it one more time and then scan it again for scan 3. Scan 3 finished. Now I'm gonna take it into Revel Studio so I can clean up the scans, all three of them. When you're going to be working with multiple scans to align them, it's always best to use the point cloud, which would be the fuse, and not the mesh. I'm simply going to use the lasso tool to remove the marker parts or any other data in the scan that I don't need. This is the checkbox that I was talking about last time. If the box is checked, it's only going to delete what it sees from that frame. If you uncheck it, then it'll delete the front and the back of the point cloud. Then I exported this one as one. I just labeled it as clean. That way I know that that's the mesh that's been cleaned up. And I end up doing the same for 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now that they're all done, I'm going to start loading in the clean files. I end up loading in one, and then I'm going to add two, and I'm going to align them together. Most people just load them in and then click the featured button and hope for the best. But in my experience, I found out that does not really work that well. As you can see, it did not work. What happens is it tried to align everything just to the one side. So I'm going to undo that, and then I'm going to use the marker points. This is also called a manual alignment. What you do is you mark spots on one model, mark the same spots on the other model, and it will align them together based on your markings. Now you can see the reason I added a single marker to this. This allows me to line up both scans perfectly. Whenever you do this, you need a minimum of 3 points to align. It's always best to kind of scatter them out. You do not want them all grouped together. Then once you got at least 3 points, you can click the apply button. But what happened right here is I right clicked, and when I right clicked, it cleared all the points on the other model. So I have to redo it. Okay, and now it's finished. You can see the model is pretty much a whole as far as the scans. There are lots of holes in the model. It's just areas that did not get scanned. But you can always go back and make multiple scans just to add more data to it. But this right here is still very usable. But I'm going to go ahead and save it. And now I'm going to add in the 3. Just doing the same process here, rotating it around, lining it up, clicking the marks. And there it's finished. This is scan 1, 2, and 3 aligned together. It is a very usable scan, but it does have holes in it. All those holes are just spots that I missed when scanning. I'll go ahead and export it out. This will just be labeled 1, 2, 3. I ended up meshing it just to see what it would look like. Overall, I wasn't happy with the results. There was a lot missing on the sides. So what I end up deciding to do is just to simply do some more scans on it. So I can get the top portion and the bottom portion in their own scan. Here's a sped up version of me scanning it. I just saved it out as number 4 since it's the 4th scan. Then I flipped it over so I can get the other side. By the way, I am using the dual axis turntable in the Android app to control it. Right here, I just have it tilted at, I believe, a 6 or 8 degree angle. All right, both scans finished. Same thing, clean them up, and then add them to the main scan. Right here, I import just the front and the back just to show you that if you scan only the front and the back, there's no way for you to align them. There's simply no data that they share besides the thin little side strip, which simply isn't enough to align them correctly. Okay, import the 123 file, which is the main scan, and I'm going to add this scan to that scan. It's all the same process. Pick a couple of points and just align it together. And you can see how it fills in more of the missing holes. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the top portion. And here's the final result. There's still a few holes that are there, but for the most part, everything that's important is there. So I'm just going to go ahead and export it. You can tell I'm a gamer, cautious saver. Now I'll go ahead and mesh it and smooths it out a whole lot. Still see a lot of details for our Pop 2 scan. There's some holes here and there. I'm just going to fill those with the hole fill. And there you go, a finished model. The hole fill did pretty good. If you need a perfect model, you could easily take this into a CAD software. There's more than enough details. Right here, I just imported into Prusa Slicer and just rotate it around a little bit. That way, if you want to export it into a CAD software, it's already oriented the way that you need it to.